Welcome to the Franklin Method Fellowship. I'm your co-host Solange Ross, and I'm joined by my colleague Debora Chasse. We are physical therapists specializing in the pelvic floor. In this podcast, we share our passion for the Franklin Method and integrating it into functional, everyday movements, all forms of exercise, and our physical therapy practices. We also share a love for talking about the pelvic floor. We hope to inspire you to move better and feel better in your body. Always check with your doctor before beginning an exercise program. This podcast is not intended to be used as medical advice. Let's grab your Franklin Method balls and bands. Enjoy the show.
Good morning, everyone. And I'm meeting you here from Corona Del Mar in Southern California, which is part of Orange County. And my name is Debora Chasse. I'm a physical therapist, and I'm meeting here with my colleague, Solange Ross, who is also a physical therapist. And incidentally, not only are we both Franklin Method educators, but we're also both pelvic floor therapists. Solange, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm coming from Lock Harbor, New Jersey, which is this beautiful beach town. And it is such a glorious day for after we record this. I'm definitely going to go to the beach. And I'm great from also my Franklin Method practice that I did this morning while I was out jogging. So I was jogging along the beach, along the boardwalk, and I could feel when I first started out, I always feel like a sensation in my heart and lungs. So it's like, it starts here and then it goes, it's like the heart and lung meridian. And I was just feeling that sensation. And then I was thinking, where can I dig into my tools here, to help me get things going? So what came to me in that moment was my feet are adaptable. My heart is elastic. My lungs are strong.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It was interesting to play with that. So I loved that experience this morning. It was just so pleasurable on my run. And I think if I hadn't used that, I may have just been like, oh, the sun is coming down. It's hot. I may have been struggling a little bit more with that, but I was just playing with this game and I found such joy. In the workout.
Great. I love it. I know. I love how we can do that with our bodies. It's kind of like we're getting into our body and our mind is actually having control over what is happening with our body. Like when I don't have enough strength to lift something, I'll say, I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger. and then I have the strength to lift it.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to be talking more about the diaphragm and breathing. So our focus will be about breathing today, but diaphragm influence. I do want to share something that I experienced this week with swimming. Again, swimming. That's the summertime swimming is my main focus for exercise. Let's see, we could just imagine that these are the lungs, right? And I'll just bring this down a little bit. And so as my arm reaches forward, I'm imagining that my lung is reaching forward along my spine. And then as the other arm reaches forward, the other lung is reaching forward. And notice how it's kind of like relative to each other. One is going up, one is going down. But isn't that a nice gliding along the spine too? And then I took it a little bit further and I went, what if my lungs were slippery dolphins along my spine? I just kind of gave it a more silky sort of feel as I was swimming.
I really love that. Debora, I love that because I often have used the image of a dolphin in swimming, but I've never used it with the lungs, like being these slippery dolphins. I've imagined myself in different ways as a dolphin and just kind of the fin, the movement of the fin and just to get nice ripples and waves in my body when I'm working on different mobility. And we really encourage you guys to try these images on for size and really be playful with it, because it really does make the movement feel so good. And there really is no better feeling than feeling joy in your body, right? And
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah.
I want to share just one thing that really I loved from what we did last time when we were talking about the relationship of the lungs and the diaphragm.
Yeah. Oh, right. Go ahead.
I have my beautiful model today, and Debora showed this last time as well. So this expandable sphere is the lungs, and this frisbee is the diaphragm. And so when we take a breath in, the lungs expanding, and then we breathe out, the lungs, the air being pushed out of the lungs. And I just love this, the colors, and just this beautiful model for the expansion, and then the air being pushed out. And also that emphasis on the slow exhalation.
Part of the reason that we want to focus on breathing is so that we get better at breathing, and that we're better and equipped when we're in a difficult situation, right? Because what do most people do when they're in a difficult situation, whether it's stress or pain or fear? They tighten up, right?
Yeah.
And so how to get rid of that tightening up so we can get more parasympathetic and get more air coming in and out by saying shh as we exhale. Because as soon as we're finishing getting that air out, then there's that reflex that wants us to bring the air back in. And so, I just think it's really important for practicing to be prepared for anything that comes our way.
Breathing is so essential to everything that we do. And then it's something that's, it's the afterthought. We want to get to whatever the exercises are and map that out first. And then we'll deal with the breathing later.
Yeah, right. That's true. Yes, breathing is very important for the fundamentals of life. And that's why we decided to focus on that today with the focus on the diaphragm. So to all of you, why do we breathe?
It's a tough question.
Yeah. Why is breathing important?
Well, we definitely need to breathe to bring oxygen and nutrients to all of our cells and throughout the body.
Mm-hmm.
And then the exchange between delivering the oxygen and removing the CO2. And then just off the top of my head, I'm thinking, well, if we don't breathe, that's it. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now.
Definitely. How long do you think we'd have if we weren't breathing?
I mean, I think we have about 2 minutes, 4 minutes, between 2 and 4 minutes. Right. And yeah, so if you think about that, it's like, well, wow, I better really train my lungs, train my diaphragm, because I want to capitalize on that time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, breathing for speaking, I wouldn't be here speaking with you either.
Or have the strength in your voice, right? The power, right? The energy.
And that's something too, I love that you said the strength in the voice and the energy. And I think that's something too, to notice how, as we go through these practices on the lungs and the diaphragm, how that changes the way we sound.
Yeah.
So anything else about why we breathe? Did I miss any?
Well,
Did I miss anything?
If we're not breathing, so if we're not making ATP, and we need ATP for our nerves to function, then we're not getting the functioning of the nerves that we need. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I'm thinking of so many medical conditions where people need to be producing that energy for their ATP so that whatever's going on in their body, they have good nerve function, or prevent other diseases in their future that's related to their nerves.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that people haven't really thought about, the correlation between breathing and nerve function. I certainly want the communication between my brain and my spinal cord and my nerves to be as fluid,
Yeah.
unblocked as possible.
Free. Just
Free.
free and flexible, right? Just kind of flexible. A
Good
flexible
communication. Good communication going back and forth. No blockages, no disruption,
diaphragm. Yeah.
no outages along the way.
Right. What kind of things, we hit on it a little bit, but what are some of the things that will affect our breathing in kind of like a negative way?
Well, certainly tension, right? And let's all try this. Let's just like grip our pelvic floor, grip around our abdomen. Or in layman's terms, like engage your core.
Right. That's right. That's what is taught.
That's what it's taught. And let's try to take a breath in.
Can't breathe very much.
No, but it's interesting. Like if that's something that someone has been practicing, they may not necessarily feel that it's so restrictive, because that may be the norm. So let's try something a little bit different, a little different cue for tension. So let's grip our fists, let's grip our toes, tightening. As we're listening to the sounds of the motorcycle here, the Jersey Shore.
And I can't
try
hear
to take a breath in. I need to shake that.
Yeah, right.
Or even engage your glutes. Really engage those glutes.
Yeah.
Got them? Are they gripped? Are they gripped up?
They're gripped.
Take a breath in.
It's so shallow.
I felt it right away when the shallow was perfect. I felt it right away in my neck.
I find that the visceral structures are so much associated with the levator ani, the coccygeus muscle. There's
Absolutely.
a direct correlation. Yeah.
Definitely. So if someone's feeling it up in here, we know that there's that jaw to tail connection.
Yeah. Definitely. Right. What if we slouch back?
Okay, let's see how our posture affects.
Right, and we think we're relaxed, right? If we're slouching.
I'm really getting, I'm full on in slouch mode.
All right, I'm going with you. Already, my neck is flexed forward.
It just, I can feel that, to me, like the forward head, and just like, it's like all the pressure just like went down. Like this, I feel just a ton of downward pressure. And I feel when I'm taking a breath, the only way that I can breathe is sort of like up with my chest up here.
I feel like I can't even get past my neck. Yeah. I just feel so tight in my neck, sitting like that. And then what about our thoughts? Yeah.
I was just thinking, even on my run today, right, when I was feeling like my heart and my lungs, like that's exactly what I did. It was with my thoughts. I created this great experience for myself, because it could have also gone the other way, that like, oh, this is really challenging for my heart and lung. Everyone's going faster than I am. Why am I so slow? And all of those thoughts, that's increasing the stress on my body, which is the opposite of what I'm trying to do.
So I thought we ought to bring up the screen for the diaphragm. So here's the diaphragm. Can you see my arrow?
Yep.
This is when you're exhaling, this first picture. So, and then this one is when you're inhaling. So I like to talk about the inhaling first because that's what I always think of when I'm going to breathe is you got to bring air in. Yeah. And so what is happening with the diaphragm itself and with the muscle? And so during inhalation, let's see if this is a good prop for it, but the diaphragm actually contracts and moves down. I'll bring that up higher. It contracts and moves down. And a lot of times, I mean, I always ask people, so what is the diaphragm doing when you're breathing in? Is it going up or down? And I don't want to just, sound like a know-it-all when I'm asking this question. So I have a lot of grace when I ask this question because even medical people will say the diaphragm's going up.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that confusion comes from there are different sensations in the rib cage, different sensations in the chest. There's a lot of different sensations that one can feel when they breathe in.
Right.
But it's extremely important for one's embodiment to know what those different things are that's happening so that, I mean, if this diaphragm here is driving the whole system, right? Well, we better know what it's doing for sure.
Yeah.
Let's get this straightened out.
Yeah. Exactly. And look at this picture too. I love how it shows the diaphragm is coming down to the vertebral body. So this part of the spine is called the vertebral body at L2. So that's your lumbar spine. And that's where a lot of people complain about low back pain.
Absolutely. And I love this picture is so fascinating to me, just looking at those attachments to the lumbar spine and just looking at the image itself. I'm seeing the shape of a parachute. I'm seeing also a shiitake mushroom. I'm seeing, it's described as, a lot of people hear it described as a dome, but like here you can also see that there's kind of these two hemispheres to it, that it's not just this one continuous dome. So yeah. I think it's great to have ideas. I think someone else that described it as it could be like a bonnet, if you think about it being a bonnet. And maybe you have other ideas as you're looking at the image of things that come to you that's, personal to you, that's meaningful to you, for the new embodiment that you'll have of the diaphragm.
Yeah, that's great. And look at this other picture for exhalation. So during inhalation, the diaphragm's coming down, then for exhalation, we know it's going up. But also in this picture about the inhalation, it's the ribs are also expanding outward, right? So in the picture during exhalation, it shows how the ribs are relaxing as the diaphragm is going up. Isn't that cool? I think it's a great image. Really awesome.
Love that. And also just looking at this too, what came to my mind is looking at the diaphragm as this piece of soft cloth inside the rib cage. So I don't know if you think about what feels good in your body. Like, is it silky or satiny? Is it a soft cotton? Whatever you imagine to be a soft material. I'm kind of just looking at that, just like draping along the inside of the rib cage, really the innermost muscle, filling out that space.
Yeah. What is coming to my mind is taffy. So when we were kids, we used to make taffy, and that is just like so gooey and melting. And then you bring it back together and then stretch it out again. And just all that hand contact and movement is also helping keep it soft and, flexible.
Yeah.
So that's what we want our diaphragm to be flexible and very calm and, relaxed and just kind of like a jellyfish.
Yeah, like
that's going to be my image, is the jellyfish.
A jellyfish. So how do we get, then the question is, so now that we've taken a look at it, right, and looked at the location of it, we've described these qualities, how do we make that happen in our body? Right? Let's have the experience just with our arm, a body part that we are more familiar with. So let's stand up. What we're going to do is we're just going to give our arm a shake. So shake your arm and shake it all around. There's no right or wrong way to shake the arm. Keep shaking it. Shake it around. Don't worry if anyone's watching you. And then just let that arm relax. And what do we notice about the two sides? And what sensations do we have in the arm right now? So the first thing that's coming to me is I have this tingling sensation in my arm as a whole. It's tingling, it feels very spacious, and the whole side of my arm kind of feels like relaxed and the shoulders kind of back and down without having tried to put it in a certain position. And then go ahead and raise one arm, raise the other arm. So my shaken arm feels like it just like floats up. Like, yeah. Wow.
I noticed that my right away, I noticed the arm that I shook feels longer.
Yeah. And let's test that. Take your arms and stretch them out in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
I definitely gained some length.
Yeah.
So wow, like that was just from shaking.
Yeah. And you can feel it if you put your hands on your thighs too. Like just put them flat against your thighs. You can feel how one's longer than the other.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then the shoulder is so relaxed.
Also, it's like I can really feel the sensation that my other arm feels gripped. And I think what's interesting about that is that I didn't feel like I was gripping my arm.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. You know, I'm happy, I'm excited to be here. So the fact that even just in what I thought was a good state, there was this tension that didn't need to be there. That's, you know, I don't want that there. I don't want what's not required.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go ahead and shake the other arm. So shake it around. Do you have a good image for shaking the arm, Debbie?
That's a good question. You know what I think of is when you're shaking a jar.
All right. So
you're the gel, and you're the gel in the jar.
Okay. Yeah. I like to also think of my arm being just floppy. So like when chicken is really well cooked and it's just falling off the bone, I'm thinking about that as I'm shaking, that like everything is just like flopping around, falling off. The structures in my arm are just falling off the bone.
Yeah. Right.
But we know they're literally not going to fall on the bone because they're encased in their fascia. But
right.
This softness and tenderness.
Yeah.
All right. And let's notice that other side.
They're even now. So much more floaty. Buoyancy.
What's amazing is that just from shaking the arm, my shoulders feel more relaxed.
Definitely.
And then let's check in with our breathing and our diaphragm, since that's what this class is about.
Right.
I can definitely feel nice movement of my ribs
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah, it's so much easier to breathe just by shaking the arms.
Just by shaking the arm.
Yeah.
So I think the question of the hour then becomes, can we do this with the diaphragm?
I think we can. You think?
So maybe before we shake it, let's just outline it in our body again. And when we do this shaking exercise for our diaphragm, we really have to let go of any judgments. This may take you out of your comfort zone a little bit. So we're outlining the attachments for the ribs. And then if we think about how it attached to the lumbar spine going down to L2, so like below the belly button, right? Like really inside, attaching to the front of the spine, those vertebral bodies below the belly button. So if we think about that beautiful jellyfish that's going to undulate or maybe it's a shiitake mushroom, or maybe it's a soft piece of cloth. So are we ready to shake it?
Ready to shake it.
And when we shake the diaphragm, we're also going to vocalize. So before we actually begin, we're going to vocalize and we're going to make noise as we shake. And I want you to pay attention if you feel that the noise is coming from your throat, like a throaty sensation, or if it sounds like it's coming from a deeper sensation, coming from down here. And what a throaty sensation would be like, it's something like, and more of a deeper sensation being like, huh, 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 huh. Not that you even have to change your pitch to be lower, but notice where is what I'm vocalizing? Where do I sense that is happening? Because that may even be enough to take something initially that could be a throaty sound and to pull it down lower in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So should we give this a shake? You ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
There it is, deep.
There it is. And that shake, so I love how we're getting into a shake and we're going into a little bounce too. And we'll go there in just one moment, but it's interesting. So as you and like you can really get anything to shake. It can be from the legs, bending the knees back and forth. It can be moving the hips. It can be moving the arms. So and play with the range in your voice, All I can say is just have fun. Get that jellyfish moving in there, that soft cloth. And for this next one, let's imagine we're going to get it to bounce a little bit. And if you can think about this like undulating bounce. So we're going to do that with just, let me lower my camera just a little bit. So doing just like a bend in the knees, my diaphragm's here. And I loved what you were doing before, Debbie, as you were just moving side to side with some rotation.
From my belly button.
I almost feel like it's like a drum.
Doesn't it make you want to go into a jump?
It does. And just to play around with, well, what would it sound like if it was more throaty and it wasn't my diaphragm? It would be ah, 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 ah. And I can feel that difference as like I'm not absorbing the force throughout my body. I feel rigid when I'm doing more of a throaty sound versus everything kind of softens. And my diaphragm is just free to move up and down.
Thinking of jumping rope right now.
What if there was this idea that like instead of just like really focusing about the arms, they're really the diaphragm trampolining?
Yeah.
Let's try that on for size. Okay, I've got my imaginary rope. I think I would like jumping rope better.
I think it's more effective.
I think so. I'll go as far to say that I love that.
I know, that was great. Good idea.
So why don't we take a moment just to notice and feel our body? And maybe see what we can sense in and around where our diaphragm is.
It's an amazing, like just even from the aerobic aspect, just really feeling that here. Better.
I feel just like a gentle movement here, but what feels so prominent to me is that my shoulders and my arms just feel so relaxed.
Yeah.
So like they feel like they're just draped. It's like it's very much similar to, in Franklin method, we have an exercise where we take our orange balls and we put them in our armpits.
Oh, right. I do this.
And we let our shoulders melt or drape over the balls. So the sensation that I am feeling is as if I have those balls in my armpits and my shoulders are just draping over them.
Wow. My shoulders even feel more draped now. Can't take them out. I don't want to.
And if you don't have these balls, well, I think everyone should have Franklin method balls, but you can absolutely take socks and roll up a pair of socks together and put them in the armpits.
Yeah.
Or you could roll up a small washcloth. So what were you noticing after we did that diaphragm shake and bounce?
I feel like my neck feels long.
Mm.
And then I just like notice some relaxation here. My shoulders feel relaxed. My head feels like it wants to lift, kind of like a balloon floating up.
Isn't that great? Like, and these are all things that with the technology, like these are all things that we want to happen. And this was from the power of this diaphragm shake and this diaphragm bounce.
Yeah. So wouldn't it be good if we try stretching the diaphragm? So these bands, I love these bands because they're so long. I like to get to the middle of the band and put it around my back.
And for those of you who are just listening to us, what we're doing is we're taking the band and we're wrapping it around our rib cage. And that's giving us this awareness of where the diaphragm is. So if it's not a band, you can use a yoga strap, you could use a towel, but the band is really, really nice.
It's stretchy too.
Any TheraBand would work as well.
Yeah.
All right, I'm with you.
So first, we're just going to push into the back of the band and feel that stretch. And then extend your back forward and open your arms up with the bands. And then you're stretching the front of the diaphragm.
That feels so good. And if you can really imagine when we flex forward, the back of the diaphragm really stretching, lengthening. You may feel that as a stretch in your spine, but try to tune into your diaphragm.
And then extending, bring your arms out to where it's comfortable.
Oh, that feels so good to really extend and open and feel that stretching of the diaphragm in the front.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, I used to do this every day, and I've kind of gotten out of the habit. I'm thinking, I need to do this again every day.
But that's okay, because I feel like it's like things go into rotation, right? Like you're doing other stuff. Yeah. we can't do the same things all the time, and we do need some variation. Yeah. But this is really a good, like we definitely should do something for the lungs or the diaphragm every day.
Yes.
So as we flex forward, we're stretching the diaphragm in the back. And as we extend, we're stretching the diaphragm in the front.
I can feel it all the way into my throat.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Even my belly button's happy.
Should we do some side bending?
Yes. That feels so good.
I'm kind of, as we're side bending, I feel it's nice to take my arms and kind of stretch them outward with the band. So like give a little bit of a resistance. And so as we go to one side, we can imagine that we're stretching the diaphragm on the opposite side that we're bending to. And you know what I think is worth mentioning? Even though this whole class is about it, right? Like we're breathing, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes
it's true. You forget.
Sometimes we forget, and I see this happen all the time in a gym setting. Like once you give someone a piece of equipment or a band to pull, the focus can become on that thing, and then the breathing or whatever the image can get lost for a moment. So just to bring everyone back.
Yeah. And make sure that, if you have shoulder problems or anything like that, that you just be gentle and do what your body can do. Don't try to push it past that.
That's what I love about the Franklin method bands, because they're so long and stretchy. You can either choke up on them to give them more tension, or make them so that you have just the right amount.
Right.
Of your body.
And there is a green band as well that is more, has less tension.
And then the last thing that we can do is some rotation.
And I like bending the knees a little bit to do it.
Absolutely. Let the knees be soft and bent.
Yeah.
And right now, as I'm doing this rotation and stretching my arms forward and back, I'm really just thinking about the diaphragm as this like soft cloth, just really being mobile and responsive. So this flowy soft cloth that as I'm rotating, it's really free to move. So my ribs aren't being held and restricted. They're able just to move and swing around as I'm doing the rotation.
Yeah, feels great.
I put my band down and just check back in.
Ah, wow.
I keep getting better and better.
That's so great.
Like my arms just feel so like they're so relaxed. Like, oh.
My spine feels relaxed. Yeah, my neck is more relaxed.
I also have, what were you saying, Jen?
I want to feel that floaty feeling in my arms. What were you going to say?
I have this sort of aware, like when I just closed my eyes for a moment and I had this sensation, which I feel like behind the bridge of my nose, which is it's like a very comforting sensation. And like, it's like a sense of home and being at home in my body.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I feel like that really made a difference in relaxing the diaphragm. I feel it into my thighs, my feet. They just feel like they can let go. They're not gripping.
And let's take it for a walk. So if you can walk around back and forth in your space. And notice the freedom and the mobility that your diaphragm has.
What about sidestepping?
Shuffle to the side.
Well, I was doing that in the pool yesterday, and I could tell one side was easier to step to than the other, and I thought, I need to work on that.
And one thing that I love about Franklin method movement is that it's improv movement. Whereas when we take a lot of classes and stuff that you may be taking, it's all scripted.
Yeah.
But there's something so beautiful in just doing something completely random. So your body gets the experience of figuring that out, of being challenged, your coordination. One thing before we close for today, that when I first started practicing the diaphragm, when we learned it in level 2, I really had this experience where it's like, I cannot feel the diaphragm. I was trying to, like, I could feel movement in my chest. I could feel movement in my ribs, but I couldn't say for sure that what I felt was the movement of the central tendon of the diaphragm and the moving down and up. And for me, I was like, I want to be able to feel that. Why am I not feeling that? You know, and even just saying it in that way and going back to that moment, like I can feel the tension and the gripping coming on in my body, exactly what will hold and restrict the diaphragm. But it is very much a practice. And the more you practice and the more you imagine and notice. It was amazing how it came to me. I can't even remember when it came to me, but it sort of has evolved to like all of a sudden, yeah, I could feel certain things and that were different than rib movement, different than stuff in my chest. And I was like, I'm feeling the diaphragm. That's it.
It's amazing. I love that. Embodying function improves function. You are embodying it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Embodying, that's what we say in the Franklin method. Embodying function improves function.
Yeah. Awesome. What an awesome day today experiencing that. I loved it.
Me
Shaking
too.
the diaphragm and using even shaking the arms, right? If someone
Shaking the arms and
yeah.
even listening to my voice right now, I feel such strength and power. Like, I feel like I'm ready to just go out there. Like, I'm ready to change the world. So should we give people a little hint as to what our next class is going to be?
Well, let's see. I'm going to bring something up. And
for those who are just listening, do you have any ideas about what the next? There it is.
Breathing and the pelvic floor.
Because we are two pelvic floor physical therapists.
Right.
So that was just a natural place to go next.
Right. Yeah. We had to hold back from talking about it today. But next time we'll get to talk about it and talk about how we can breathe into the pelvic floor. I have a lot to say about that. I'm sure we both do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we're so glad that you all joined us today. It was great practicing this with you today, Debora. I had such a great time. So we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yes, and I always have a great time doing this with you as well, Solange. Such great teamwork. Anyway,
Absolutely.
Good to see all of you. Thanks for joining in. And we'll see you next time when we talk about breathing in the pelvic floor.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we would love for you to leave us a review. We also have a membership program. For only $10 a month, you get access to a live recorded bonus class or a live recorded Q&A. Visit CompleteCoreNYC.com for more details and to sign up. We look forward to practicing with you and continuing to share our passion. In the Franklin method, we say, embodying function improves function. Keep practicing, and we'll see you all next time.